first, should the government cut sickness benefits? We're taking your calls, 0207 862 2222 to get in touch. Chancellor used a speech yesterday to set out her plans for economic growth, and hidden amongst it was the admission that the Department for Work and Pensions was planning to tackle the rising cost of health and disability benefits.
And we will deliver fundamental reform of our welfare system. That includes looking at areas that have been ducked for too long, like the rising cost of health and disability benefits. And the Secretary of State for Work and Pensions will set out our plans to address this ahead of the spring statement.
So, again, something that wasn't necessarily mentioned in the manifesto, but official figures have revealed that 2.4 million people received the highest level of incapacity benefit without having any requirement to try and seek work. The Work and Pensions Secretary has blamed this on the Tories, saying that 50% of applicants were approved over the last year. That has resulted in an extra 800,000 claimants and an £8.6 billion overspend on benefits this year. Charities like Scope have told us that benefits are lifelines for those who rely on them, and that cutting them won't solve the problem of the broken welfare system. Jemma, what do you think?
I just feel like I look at Rachel Reeves at the moment and it feels like I'm listening to Kemi Badenoch. I mean, like, what are they doing? I'm sorry, it is not the sick and the disabled who are ripping off the state. I think it's absolutely disgusting. And in fact, it's really interesting because there was a High Court case that's just recently gone through where disabled activist Ellen Clifford went to them, and the judge there ruled that the last Conservative government had issued a rushed, unfair and misleading consultation, backing up everything that Scope are saying, who work with disabled people day in and day out. And essentially, Rachel Reeves is mirroring that. I mean, it's unbelievable. Punching down, totally sort of anti what you would expect from a so-called progressive government. And actually, what you've got to look at is a lot of disabled people find it incredibly difficult to get into work for obvious reasons. Why aren't we working with the disabled community rather than having them work like in fear at the moment now of these, like they say, lifeline amounts of money that if they lose, they're going to be really, really
Lynn,
in danger.
So these benefits are merited and they are paid to people who are desperately in need.
Firstly, it's not very Labour, so I can understand why people that voted for Labour are completely disgusted with this, firstly. But secondly, we all understand if there's not enough money coming in our house, we have to cut back spending. We might not be able to have the luxury little things that we have in the supermarket. We say we can't do it. And it's forecasted 23 to 24 that the bill will be 58.1 billion. Where is it going to come from? With the Labour budget we have seen in 2024 alone, over 10,000 millionaires up and leave. We're seeing people in higher tax brackets that nearly pay 50% of tax.
What, last year, 2024?
2024.
Right.
Higher tax brackets. Many of my friends, they're moving to Dubai this summer. These are the people.
Dubai?
Or them.
Well, they're
Would
making
you go
money.
and live in Dubai?
Because you don't want to pay tax.
I personally wouldn't, because I come from beautiful Barbados. Why would I go to a fake beach in Dubai? But people, for example, Saudi Arabia for an architect is paying 300,000. Here they pay 60,000.
If those people want to go and live over there, fine,
But
see ya.
Gemma, my point is, Gemma, let me finish. My point is, Labour with their budget are driving the people, the very people that pay for these socialist elements
With the money.
of supporting the benefit system.
Yeah.
So answer me, okay,
right.
how do we pay for 58 billion?
Okay.
How do we pay for it?
OK, so firstly, you're correct. Around 10,000 people are leaving, and they've now lobbied Labour, who've gone, oh, OK, we'll water down our non-dom policy, which I think is so weak and sappy.
How do we pay for
because
how do we
you
pay
have
for this,
another
Gemma?
3 million
How do we
people.
pay for
come on,
58 billion?
You
How do we
tax
pay?
the wealthy. So let's
They're
just give
already
you, can you
taxed.
just wait
We're
a minute? I'm
Okay.
not talking about people on 150 grand. I love the fact that people who are on like maybe six figures go, oh, no, they are taxed
you mean the
very,
super
very
wealthy?
highly. I'm
What's super
talking
wealthy?
about the super wealthy. So basically, the combined wealth of UK billionaires surged so much last year that they were making £35 million a day. A day. Tax them,
And they were,
not
and they're
disabled
resident
people.
here, are they?
Yes,
They're taxable
absolutely.
here. Because like, if you look at the Candy brothers who do all that building of penthouses, they only come to the UK 45 days a year or whatever because we scared them off with our tax regime. So we don't necessarily want to scare them off.
No, because
they'll
we've
just
got
go.
it's 10,000
Billionaires will set up their businesses and they'll just go.
No, it is absolutely pathetic. You're talking about 10,000. It's like 0.something% out of the amount of millionaires, which is millions and millions and millions. And the vast majority want to stay because of the education, because of the climate, that it's not completely mad, because
more expensive.
Okay, you're sitting here arguing for billionaires and yet wanting disabled people to have a cut.
No, the difference is, Gemma, I'm not arguing for them. I'm being realistic. I'm being logical. I'm being logical.
There are enough millionaires, people who actually actively would like to contribute a bit more, who would stay and would pay more. So the ones that
have
leave
the money. The coffers is
inconsequential.
empty. The tin is empty, Gemma.
Okay,
Yes, so tax the people who can afford it.
You're saying millionaires. Hang on, Gemma. You saying millionaires or billionaires? Because the difference is a factor of 1,000.
Yes, I agree. Someone who's got 2 million quid, I'm not even talking about. I'm talking about the ones with huge assets, wealth over 10 million. Let's start there.
They can hide their wealth.
10 million
Yes,
is
they
not
can,
a billionaire.
because of
a billionaire has got 1,000 million.
Yes, okay, so
not
let's
10 million.
tax the billionaires 100%.
Yeah, but you're talking about 10 million now.
Okay, I'm not. I haven't put a figure on it, okay? Don't rush me. I haven't sat down and done the sums. But let's just know that.
There are 177 billionaires.
If the 10 most rich people in the world lost 99% of their wealth overnight, they'd still be billionaires.
And those
if they lost 99% of their wealth.
Those people are the innovators. They're the ones that give thousands of jobs. If we penalise the people that create companies, create jobs, pay taxes,
you're not penalising them.
They will hide
1%
their wealth.
You're not penalising them when they have so many different loopholes at their disposal that they end up doing the same tax rate as
all right, Gemma, hang on. Let's get a call. Stop. Philip in Newcastle. Hi. Go on, Philip. Don't let me down here. You've got to get a word in now.
Right, yeah. My argument is I applied for sickness benefit, got turned down, so I appealed it. Now then, I have a funny feeling that they're going to turn me down again. My argument is I understand they have to make cuts. But if they hadn't given all that money to the unions and spending all these millions of pounds a day housing these immigrants in hotels, then we might have a bit more money.
Is it what? Tell me what you're. I take your point. Just tell me about your situation. You can't work, Philip. Is that right?
Right. I've got COPD. My lungs are dodgy.
Yep.
I've got arthritis in my left knee, and my hernia's playing up. I'm 60 years old. My doctor has said to me, if you could go back to work, you could. But unfortunately, you're not in the position where you could go back to work.
Could you work? And I'm trying to be helpful here, Philip. If you were working from home, you're making a call to us now.
No.
Could you do anything on the phone, like work for a call centre, let's say with HMRC?
But I'll have to be honest, Jeremy, and say I could do a call centre, but I'm one of these people. Let's say I was working in McDonald's and you come in at 10:30 at night. You'd had a couple of sherries too many and you got a little bit leery with me. I honestly don't know whether or not I would have the temperament to say, yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full.
You might lash out.
Or I would be tempted to drag you over the counter. And to be honest, I don't think I've got the temperament.
I hear you, Philip, but I'm really sorry. You can't claim benefit on the basis that you are prone to lashing out at customers. That's not a recognised medical condition. I'm really sorry, mate. That's not. You can't say I can't have a job because I might hit a customer.
No. You're doing it all wrong, mate. Look, my argument is, if they hadn't spent all this millions, giving it to the unions and these immigrant hotels
and the VIP,
we've done that.
Lane.
Yeah, we've done that. Okay, all right, Philip. Listen, good luck finding work if you go that direction. Thank you, John in Greater Manchester. Hi.
Yes, good morning.
Do they need, it's not a very Labour thing maybe, but do they need to properly say we are going to hack into this overspend on sickness benefit?
Well, there's things I can say there. In my obviously it's individual situations. My wife is 64 and she's worked as a cropperdess for over 40 years. Now, she's been made redundant through no fault of her own. The shop closed down with reasons, and what happened was, she's being told, because we claim universal credit, I'm alcoholic, I'm off mental health, I'm 65, And again, I've worked all my life, paid my tax. But my wife's been told to go to the local job centre
Yep.
and do an assessment for her health. My wife's had 2 knee operations.
Yep.
She can't walk. I did the shopping for her. I'm a carer, right? And she basically can't go out the house.
Is she on
So
sickness
she hasn't got
benefit?
Sorry?
Is she on sickness benefit now, John?
She's on... No, she's not. She's on universal credit.
They're tough.
like
I mean, they
me.
are tough on it, Lynn. They're not-
Fine.
And what about you, John? Are you on sickness benefit because of your alcoholism?
No, I'm just on universal credit.
Right.
But John, so that your wife can get sickness benefit, last year 525,000 people applied for PIP for depression. Depression is usually helped by going into work. Do you think those people with depression should try and work so that money can be freed up for people like your wife?
What I'm saying is, I think I'm going to be controversial here. I think a lot of people swing the lead. There's people out there who never get a... My wife's an easy target because she's worked all her life. And all of a sudden, because her knees are bad, she has to use a walking stick. She can't go out the house unless we get a taxi to shopping and back again. You know, that's the time she leaves the house.
Understood.
I think she's
Go on, Gemma, yeah.
I think that, Labour are proposing these tough measures where they can go into claimants' bank accounts, etc. I'd be like, OK, you can do that if you also go into Michelle Moan's bank account or you go into, like, water company bosses' bank accounts and take those profits. Like, why don't we maybe go over there?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Well, I suppose the question is whether if the government hasn't got the money, has it got the right to cut back? Fundamentally, isn't it? Has it got the right to say to people who are on sickness benefit, we've got our allocation, we can't pay any more? I'm sorry.
I don't like the way how they've just bundled everyone in as well. Someone like, I think it was John's wife, sounds like worked all her life. But as I said, 500,000 people only last year, in the whole year, applied for sickness benefit for depression.
Yeah,
we can't afford that.
But have you ever met anybody who's got proper clinical depression? Dragging them out of the house to make them go and work isn't as simple
There are
as you
countless
think.
studies that suggest depression is helped by going to work.
Yes, it
I'm not
is,
saying the
but I
severe
would say
end.
if
I'm
there's
saying
a plague of depression, there's some
500,000.
underlying
We're getting so many calls. Stay with us. Pause it now. We've got so many calls. Thank you, John, for yours. Good luck to you and your wife. Should be more calls on sickness. Is the Chancellor right to say the government should look at tackling the rising costs because we can't afford it? 0207, Jemma says we can. We need to tax the billionaires. 0207 862 2222 is the number. Let's speak to Deirdre in Northumberland. Hi, Deirdre.
Good morning. Well, Gemma, 99% of the time I agree with you, but on this occasion I have to say I can't because I'm old enough to know that back in the days when the odd person might claim sickness benefit, they had bad backs and scans came around and they proved that they didn't, so that illness went to their head where they now suffer from mental illness. It's very difficult to prove. As a nation, we're a modern country. I wonder why so many people are on sickness benefit and why doctors can't solve some of the problems, the health service, because as a nation, we can't continue this way, regardless of the rich. I want the rich to spend their money on other things because I know people and I see it on a daily basis in my town, people who could be in work and they're not, and they can hang around betting shops and laughing about. They should be in work. And yes, there are genuine people who need the help, but the numbers are just way beyond anybody's comprehension.
Is it viable to say, Deirdre, that we no longer pay out for mental illness, for example?
Not all.
Everybody can't have it. We could all say tomorrow. I could say tomorrow, life is not a bed of roses. I can recall very clearly when my husband was a miner. He had an accident up the pit. He had the sole of his foot stitched up. 2 days later, he put his boots on and went to work because it was a thing. You wouldn't claim benefits. It was not the thing to do. You would not be unemployed if at all possible because you were, the neighbours will be talking about you. Why are we keeping him or her? They should be at work. But that's gone. People don't care anymore. They think it's their right, the automatic right to claim benefits.
Okay. We've got so many calls. We've got a mountain of calls list. Thank you so much, Deirdre. And of course, I met your husband, Ron. Thank you. Diane in Torfan, hello.
Hello, Jeremy. Hello, panel.
Are you on any benefits, sickness benefits, Diane?
Yeah, I'm on a sickness benefit, but like I said, I'm waiting for him to either phone me or go for a medical. I've been on there for quite a long time. But what I want to say, Jeremy, it's absolutely disgraceful. My late husband, right, he was on dialysis, right? He was on dialysis, and he had to go for open heart surgery. He had one of these forms come through that he had to go for a medical. I phoned up, and I spoke to a woman, and she said, "You've got to go." She said, "Your husband got to go, we'll stop his benefits." I said, "He's on dialysis, going 3 weeks, he's going for open heart surgery." I said, "You must be ridiculous." She said, "We'll stop his benefit." Anyway, he went to the medical, right? I went with him because I always go everywhere with him.
Yes.
I know this is the truth, Jeremy. This is the God's honest truth. He didn't know what his tubes was, dialysis was for.
Okay.
He came out today. My husband got upset. He said he didn't know what my dialysis tubes was for. The doctor didn't know. He said, "What's the tubes for?"
Yeah.
He could have said anything. So for his dialysis, I said, "Are you a proper doctor? Are you real?" I went absolute berserk in there because my husband, though he looks like he would go berserk, he doesn't. I've got to do it for him.
I know he's not with us now, Diane. Did he get the sickness benefit in the end?
Yeah, he got a sickness benefit. They turned it all around, right? He had that much money back because, it was unbelievable.
Okay,
But
Diane.
like I said, they tried to take him off loads of times. They've taken me off loads of times. The last time they took me off, Jeremy, I had no points. I was in the support room, which carried 15 points, and they gave me a medical down in where I was, right? You wouldn't believe it. She was asking me questions like, "Do I go for coffee?" and all that. Well, I don't ever go for coffee. But that come back as I went for coffee with I never go for coffee. I don't really like it.
All right, Diane. Listen, thank you so much. Go on.
I think it's really important that we can hold various thoughts in our heads at one time. So I agree with Deirdre. Some people take the mick. But when you use such broad brushstrokes, you risk really upsetting very vulnerable people who need help. And I go back to, these are not people who are rinsing the state as much as people who have tens and tens of millions, and I think the problem is now people cannot even relate to how much wealth is out there, and they are the ones with the power to lobby the government and to insist that things stay the same.
Kathleen is in the West Midlands. Hi, Kathleen.
Hello, good morning, and thank you for the panel.
Thank you. Can they hack into this budget, Kathleen, or will it just upset too many people?
We've got to be very sensible. There are people out there that we have to be very sensible. We have people that don't need the benefits, but then you've got an awful lot of people who do need the benefits. For people who are on cancer treatment, like the lady before you, and it is terrible because there's a lot of people as well who should be receiving benefits and they don't claim because they think we're not going to get it.
All right.
I think we have to be very careful.
OK, Kathleen, thank you. Dave on the Isle of Wight, you are on some of these sickness benefits, I gather.
Yeah, good morning, Jeremy. Good morning, panel.
Hi.
Yes, I'm on the sickness benefits. I believe it's paying too much.
Too much? So what are you getting?
On certain sickness benefits, over £1,000 every 4 weeks.
OK, and is the benefit for you can't work because tell me.
Many years ago, I was mentally unwell. I was Section 3, locked up in a hospital and everything else. 2021, I caught COVID. I was in intensive care, so my lungs are absolutely ruined now, and I'm now wheelchair bound. I still struggle with the mental health.
And do you think you're being paid too much?
I have spare cash at the end of each month.
How?
Now, that sounds really strange. Obviously, I have to pay for people to come and clean and things like that, but I get friends to do it out of my pocket.
I see. Okay.
Things like cooking, I can't do that, so I have to order in every day.
Okay, Dave, listen, we've got to go to our break, but I'm glad you're doing okay. That's the main thing. Thank you for your calls. We had so many. Thank you, Dave.